Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Sabah.
Good evening.
Hello, yeah.
Let us then mute everyone and initiate this. Today's session, as you know, is about quality. If you guys have been paying attention, can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me who determines quality? I mentioned this several times earlier.
Client.
Client?
Yes, 100%. So good to know that some guys at least are listening. So we start with the definition of quality. Based on that, and we will see. Quality is the process of confirming customer expectations. So we start with the customer or with the client or the person who is utilizing the service. By the way, clients can be external clients in the traditional way of a client, or they can be our internal clients. As a facility management, so sometimes it's just we're managing the facility of our own company. Then my internal clients will be different departments, different divisions, or different individuals. So the customer is internal or external. So the quality is the process of confirming customer expectations. It involves establishing performance standards and metrics based on those expectations. So for example, so what determines quality? Let's say for a call center, okay, quality may be, okay, it's tangible. Then we go and do research and check with the people. See how much, after how many minutes, what do they expect? Of course, they expect you to answer as fast as possible and immediately, but we have to be realistic. So for example, we say, picking up the call within 5 minutes, let's say. Not much waiting among the queue. If it goes beyond that, for example, if let's say you're calling a bank and they put you on hold, Uridu does it. It goes more than 5 minutes, 3 minutes, it becomes, you just close the line and you complain. So these kind of metrics you could have established if you're the person who's handling quality, let's say at that call center. You will determine that, okay, less than 3 minutes should be the target at always to take calls. If I'm spending more than that, then I need to do something regarding my process or the number of people that I have, and so on. So we establish performance standards and metrics. So similarly for FN, for example, we say we need a reliability of 95%. Or let's say at the time, like we understand that there is gonna be shutdowns, let's say, of elevators here and there, but we say that we minimize it to a certain number of hours. So for example, in terms of facilities, Germany, I think a couple of years back celebrated for 30 years uninterrupted power. I'm not sure if it was even more. So there was not a single minute of interruption of power. So that again takes a hell lot of preparation in terms of maintenance, in terms of securing redundancies, and so on. And then once we establish these metrics, so let's say I established a metric that I should answer a call in less than 3 minutes, and I should send someone to resolve the problem. For example, talabat, even your talabat thing, you go there to talabat and then you see a delivery time of 40 minutes. Okay, this is your expectation. It has been determined by them this time, although my expectation, let's say, would be less than 30 minutes. If they delay above this expectation, you start going nuts, or let's say dissatisfied, to say the least. And maybe you make some calls and you try to see where's your order and so on. So first the goal of quality is to conform to the customer expectations. To do so, we establish performance standards and metrics. Okay, so I'm gonna be measuring my performance as a facility based on what? And then measuring the degree to which current products and services meet the standards and metrics. A key concept in measuring quality is measuring. In improving on anything is measuring. This we came across in the sustainability module. If you want to improve on something, you have to know where you are. You cannot tell me, like, for example, now I am faster in the way I reply to the calls, or I'm faster in, let's say, if I call me, I'm faster to reach the client in case of emergency. Okay, based on what are you saying that? It was taking you an average, for example, 1.5 hours, and now you're doing it in less than half an hour, then I will know that you're talking, or just like, I just feel like it. It's not like that. So you have to establish the current products and services. Where are we in terms of those standards? And then identifying and implementing improvements to satisfy the standards and metrics. So for example, if I'm running an elevator company and I'm promising my clients, or I go and survey my clients and I see the benchmarking in the market, this is another tool for me to know how much is the customer expecting. And I know, for example, they're expecting us to be on site within 1 hour at any time of the day. So we need to understand, first of all, where are we now? Am I doing 40 minutes average? Am I doing 30 minutes? Am I doing 2 hours? When I establish that, I understand. So let's say I'm doing 2 hours. Then I go back and see, okay, it's not meeting with the standards. I'm getting a lot of complaints. Okay, I'm getting a lot of complaints. And then when we get these complaints, how can we address them to improve the quality? Then I start into looking into what's the reason for this quality discrepancy. Is it because, for example, the team will be sleeping because I don't have someone dedicated on shifts? Is it because, for example, they don't have a vehicle? Is it because that my call center is getting the call, but they're not transferring it on time? And so on and so on. So this is what we call for root cause analysis. And then what can I do to improve it? Shall I hire more people? Shall I, or maybe, for example, I used to face it sometimes, like my team was very far from the center of Doha. Then if I want to improve my service, I took a flat in the middle of Doha to make sure that my emergency team at night can access Doha faster. Maybe I deploy people on motorcycles to avoid traffic. So quality starts with the customers. It incorporates their expectations and feedback. It also incorporates the use of standards and metrics. Many disciplines have standards for them. So for civil engineering, there are specific standards. For steel fabrication, there are certain standards. For maintenance also, there are standards. For sustainability practices, there are standards. So, and it also involves the act of measuring and a commitment to continuous improvement. Again, the concept of continuous improvement, I mentioned it before. I mention it again. Quality is not a plane or a goal which we reach and we end there. It's never like that. There's always room for improvement. There's never going to be perfection. Okay, for example, you look at manufacturing now, you see that there is a lot of improvement in manufacturing, in the faults, in the rejection. To give you an example of China, 30 years ago, something made in China was not good. Now try to find something not made in China. That's a challenge. You get the high-tech laptops, Apple, when they started manufacturing in China, you know, people were surprised, China, but now it has become just like something that we live with. And why all of this happened? Because they looked at the quality control. They improved the quality. So you tell me that they reached a point now that there is no improvement? On the contrary, quality is a process of continuous improvement. No matter how perfect you are, you're gonna reach a point where there are gaps that you need to address and move on. So the goal in terms of facility management, okay, the goal is, of course, measuring and improving quality of FM services. The quality of FM services is measured. How do we measure the quality? By auditing the FM operations to see how the team is following the standard operating procedures, what kind of documentation they are maintaining, what's their complaint register, what are their non-conformance reports, and also by defining the desired service levels. So we define the service levels that we want. We want, let's say, as I give the example of this, a response to any emergency within half an hour. So this is, I'm defining it and I'm measuring where are they. So, and then we establish a baseline, and then we assess our customer satisfaction. A key point in quality, those of you, if you have a company which is running ISO 9001, you might have been involved in an audit, and then they know that it's part of the audit that they come and there's a procedure for handling customer satisfaction, measuring customer satisfaction, recording complaints, following up on the complaints, closing them, and improving them. Another thing of quality of FM services is benchmarking. So benchmarking, we compare what we have to that what's available in the market. If I want to be a good FM company, I'm always having to compare myself to the people around me. Where am I? Am I a number one customer choice or maybe number 100? Quality of FM services is improved by implementing systematic process improvement. So what does that mean, systematic process improvement? It's like making improvement a culture, making improvement a continuous process that happens on itself. Understanding customer needs and expectations. Because quality is determined by the customer, you have to understand what the customer wants. Maybe you are spending more time taking care of a certain thing, and the customer really doesn't value that as much as another thing that you are missing. So for example, there are golden rules regarding malls or shopping places. So for example, a very important thing is that the availability of parking spaces. Second important thing would be the cleanliness of the toilets. So these are two very important factors that influence, and this has been determined by research, by talking to people. Different people in different cultures, different places, of course, have different preferences. But just I'm giving it as an example how by understanding the customer needs and expectations, you will be able to shape your operations by delivering innovative services and utilizing the best practices. So what's your differentiating factor? In Qatar, I have yet to see companies which are bringing a real wow factor in facility management. Regionally, you find some countries which are very good in that they're always providing what they call innovative services, top of the line technology, so that they make sure that everything is recorded and then they reply to you very quickly and secure your satisfaction. The more you take care of your customers, the more you business will grow. So the importance of systems thinking in FM and quality FM. So another thing to consider is that quality is not something that can be implemented in, let's say, manufacturing or facility maintenance or any division on its own. Quality is a complete system. So to give you an example, you can be doing an excellent job in terms of doing the preventive maintenance scheduling in case of replying to clients, but your procurement process, or even let's say you have control of the procurement, your finance process is not in line with you. The people, okay, you go and you get a replacement part and you want to buy it, and then your finance is not organized, and your finance, you respond to an emergency site very quickly, but your process for purchasing is not in line, and then they'll take them 3-4 days to purchase something, or even 10 days or 2 weeks. So you will fail because a system is as weak as its weakest link. So it's very important to have something which we call systems thinking. Systems thinking embodies the belief that an organization is more than the sum of the parts. It is an integrated system that cannot be divided into independent parts. Quality goes from the top to the bottom. Your experience when visiting a restaurant, let's say, it starts with the attitude of the person taking the valet. It's not related to your food only. If the person who took the car for the valet was rude, or even the person who greeted you when you entered the restaurant was rude, or the waiter was rude. So all of this, as I said, your system is as weak as your weakest link. It should be taken if integrated. Systems thinking, Oliver, you are asking. Systems thinking is that you cannot work as an island. It's an integrated. So that's why we have an integrated quality management. All the divisions of the company should be aligned to work towards quality. So if, let's say, as I said, if the execution part is working, whereas the procurement in the head office is not working, whereas the HR is not working, whereas the finance is not working, you're not going to be top-notch in your field because you're going to be stopped down the process by one of those divisions. So that's why the system thinking is that as a full system, it says that an organization is an interrelated system that cannot be divided into independent parts. So you cannot have a high quality in execution and not followed up everywhere else. I hope that answers your question. Samuel, you want something to say, Samuel? You're on mute.
Not actually. I think that hand is a mistake.
No problem.
All right.
Okay, measuring what matters. So we said that we need to establish a baseline. Measuring what matters. Okay, another important thing that we are now having in this time and age, a bombardment of information. If I go to each and every one of you, you will have a hard disk which has so much information which you never refer to. There's a lot of data, but which data matters? Now, even with digitized equipment, you can get data on many things. You can get data when people entered, when people exited the office. You can get data on any process that you have. There's a lot of documentation, especially with digitalized systems. Everything is kept there in a record, and with a click, you can get it. But you have to measure what matters. You have to make sure, like when you are measuring, let's say, the quality or setting the KPIs of your department, if you complicate it and you make them 100 items, everything is going to be diluted. So for example, in ISO, for each department, we set 2 to 3 key KPIs. So they are key performance indicators. The other are performance indicators, but we have key performance indicators. And these ones rule. So before FM quality can be measured, managed, or performance improved, a facility manager must determine what will be measured and to what extent. Many variables can impact FM performance. This I mentioned previously. So now moving targets, okay? Moving targets is that, which is that measurement tends to conjure thoughts of dimension, quantity, capacity, and so forth. This you face when it is like a moving target is when it's very easy to measure the accuracy of the fabrication of a table or the fabrication of a steel structure or the construction of a tower. Very easy because there are fixed parameters. Okay, for example, 1 meter, you have 1 millimeter. So there are rules of thumb and codes to do that. It's hard science. It's 1 + 1 = 2. Unfortunately, in other things, such as, let's say, satisfaction of someone entering a restaurant, what does devise quality? How do you devise, like, let's say, how do you measure that something is tasty? There's a lot of subjectivity in that. So similarly with FM, it's a service. There's a lot of subjectivity in that. Maybe you're doing everything perfect, and then you are not really highlighting on the smell or on the noise control, and then some people will come and complain on you as a facility of not properly providing them what they need. So measurement of FM performance is not an exact science with hard rules and predictable relationships. So it's a moving target. So it's something that you have to understand what the client wants, or whether internal or external, and trying to meet that as it moves from point A to point B and so on. Measurement guidelines for FM service quality. Because quality starts with the customer, measurements should be based around customer needs. Measure what can help you improve performance or make better decisions. Consider the relevance of the intended measures to customers in addressing their needs. So what are we measuring? It's very important for us to know what we are measuring and how does it impact the so a simple thing. You as a facility management manager will measure when your people come to site and when they leave site. Okay, can you please fine. So when you talk about what I was talking about, sorry, question. Okay, so when you measure the when people come in and outside the organization. Okay, that if your people are late a little bit, how much of the accurate people are on site and whatever, it's a performance indicator. But how important it is, it's not really critical compared to many other things. It's just one thing. But for example, if you measure, like, I want to secure like all my customers are having an 85% or more customer satisfaction, or I want to make sure that I will respond to every emergency that I get within 5 minutes, and I will deploy the team in less than 20 minutes. So these are important things. You see how a simple measure such as that, it's a simple measure, I'm saying that I should go to a client and be at their place within 20 minutes. That involves a long process behind it, which measures all of these small things all together. For me to do that, I need to be responsive in my call center. I need to be responsive with the team. I need to have a proper processes. I need to have a proper vehicles. I need to have a lot of things to be able to provide you with this service. Avoid the trap of gathering data for its own sake. So data can be irrelevant. Be very careful on what you measure. Assess the efficiency of FM services. Assess the effectiveness. These 2 points come always and they are repeated. The difference between efficiency and effectiveness. They started even with the first session. To remind you what it is, when we talked about communication, effectiveness, it means that it does the intended task. Efficiency, it does so, but by minimizing the expenditure of resources and money. So in communication, we talked about an effective way of communication is to go and talk to someone face to face. It's very effective. Any message that I want to pass, it's very good if I pass it face to face. But is it something efficient? Not always. If I want to just inform the people that tomorrow at lunch, we're gonna be making the birthday for a team member, it really is not efficient that I go to each and every person in the office, let's say, and telling them that. I can just shoot them a WhatsApp or call them on the phone. So this is the balance between efficiency and effectiveness. We talked about it also when we were designing the offices. In designing in offices, if I look at it from a point of effectiveness, maybe it's best that every individual has an office space of, let's say, 16 square meters. But is this efficient? It will be very effective. Everyone will be comfortable in their place. Everyone will have their own office, their own desk. and independency. They will be satisfied. But is this something efficient? It is not. On the other extreme, if I want to take a 1,000 square meter office and I make it efficient, I can probably house inside it 300, 400 people. I will use all around what you call chairs and desks and cubicles. But is this efficient? Maybe it is for certain things, but if in another environment, it will not be efficient. We need to separate them by their needs, by their status, by their requirements for a meeting, by social requirements, and so on. Evaluate the responsiveness of FM service. In facility maintenance, the responsiveness is very important, particularly when they have these breakdowns. How fast are we to reach the customer? This is one. How fast are we to rectify the customer's problem is another one. There are usually categorized, we categorize the breakdowns like an urgent work or a work that can wait. And so how fast are we able to attend to the urgent work? How fast are we able to attend to the biggest long bleeding items and so on? And then, of course, like everything, we have to align measurements to the organizational strategic plan. If you remember the strategy module, we talked about how strategy for the whole business is determined on top, and then strategy for the specific business unit, which is FM in this case. So for the whole organization, I want to make a strategy for Google to be a major attractor of talent and the #1 internet. I need to make sure that in HR, I have the strategy and I will hire and retain the best talent. In administration, the same, and so on. And in FM, I want to make sure that they have the best experience in their offices. And so the measurements which I take in the FM, let's say at Google, will be like, let's say if I go and measure how satisfied are the workers in the services that they are that we are providing. And let's say if I ask them, do you believe that if there is something that we can add to our service that will make you happy and stay more in the office? So these kind of measures, they go in line with the FM requirement and more on all go into the strategic plan of the organization. Effective metrics are linked to customer needs, that I think we established by now, are clear and understandable. So objectives and metrics, when you set them, the golden rule is to follow by the SMART. Whether you're setting a goal for your team members personally or for your business unit. Why SMART encompasses everything? Because we're talking about something specific and measurable. There are many things that cannot be objectively measured, but we try to make them objective. So like customer satisfaction, we try to make it objective. We try to create a scale that will at least give us an idea. And the more we test people out of 100, like we find an item is satisfactory, yes or no, reliable, achievable goals. Is this something that, so when we are establishing metrics, we're not talking about achievability, or maybe if we're setting goals, achievability. So let's say I go and say that I am looking for 100% operation with no breakdowns. Is this something achievable? Depending on what I'm doing it. Am I doing it for a power plant? Am I doing it for a window AC or what? And then relevant and time-based. So if you go into this, so metrics are linked to customer needs that we established, are clear and understandable, are objectively demonstrable. So here we talk about measurement. So measurement, something that we measurement. Reflect those established for the FM profession as a whole, as well as metrics related to the entire organization's business. This is what we talked about here, align measurements with the organizational strategic plan. So why are we doing this? Why is Google looking into the satisfaction of their team member, the employees. Why are they providing out and beyond services to them, play areas, free laundry, free food, and whatever? Because the service that they are providing is directly linked to the organization, the whole organization business. It is that critical. And you have to make sure that they are relevant to the scope of services provided by the FM organization. So we talk about the relevance. Have targets of our goals, so this is achievable, are supported by relevant FM data, provide adequate information. So again, we need to focus on the vital few and not the trivial many. Certain things, measurements, I really don't care about them. I care about key things. Consider the past, the present, and the future are not statics. Metrics are not statics. We said continuous improvement. So that means that if today I am doing an 85% customer satisfaction, next time I should not be settled with an 85. I should seek to improve it. So the metrics are not static. They are organic and they should be growing. The importance of standards. Standards, why do we utilize standards? Why do we utilize ASME standards? Why do we utilize ASHRAE standards for heating, refrigeration, and air conditioning? Because they help you to ensure that FM services or systems meet specifications or quality benchmarks. So there are people or organizations which have done extensive research into how to achieve this, what is achievable, what is the standard, what's the standard deviation, how much error is accepted for this kind of equipment. Is it expected to fail every 200 hours, or it's expected to fail once every 1,000 hours? Standards are often classified as conformance or consensus. So like when we say is that, do we conform to so-and-so standards? So we say that you see it like we manufacture, all our products are conforming to HCAP standard so-and-so for food and quality control, or for ISO standard. Or if you are buying steel, for example, they tell you, okay, all the steel provided is conforming to Euronorm 10025, something like that. So we are trying to provide a benchmark for which we can conform to. Compliance or conformance to standards give customers and potential customers confidence and trust in FM services. So when you go to a client simply and you tell them maybe now it doesn't hold the same weight like it used to before, but at least, you know, say like I am conforming to the ISO 9001 standards. It's better than conforming to nothing. It means that at least you're looking at quality. Whereas if you tell them, no, I have the full compliance in my operation for integrated management system for ISO 9001, 14001, and 18001. I also have other certifications like the GSAS certification for sustainability. So it shows that and gives confidence. You take it on yourself personally. When you want to go and buy something, you look at if this is approved by some kind of authority. Is this something like CE standard when you buy electronics? CE is the European conformation of quality for electrical items. It's utilized a lot. So if an item is CE certified, it means that a certain level of requirement is met. In terms of fire, for example, UL listed products. It's like a very, when you see a valve that's UL listed, you know that it has meeting a certain requirements and stringent requirements in terms of performance under fire. So it gives you definitely more confidence. If I give you two products at the same price, made from the same country, everything is the same, and I tell you that this one is conforming to so and so standards, this one is conforming to so and so standards, so and so standards, and this one we are not sure. Definitely, all things else equal, you will prefer to take the one which is conforming to standards. There are many standards because we are a multidisciplinary discipline, okay, multidisciplinary profession. Okay, there are many standards applicable to quality in FM. We have the ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, the ASHRAE, American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning, the ASTM, American Society of Testing and Material, the BSI. You know, this are in the States, but they apply everywhere. The British have the British standards. The Europeans have their Euronorm, EN, so like the CEN. The Japanese have the JIS standard, and so on. Different, Qatar has the QCS in terms of construction. So this is standard, Qatar construction standards, and so on and so on. An important standard for us in particularly are the IFMA and BOMA standards. BOMA is the Building Owners and Managers Association. It's again like an American standard. ISO standard is the International Organization of Standardization, ISO. What do you mean by consensus? Is that you are complying to the requirements of the standard. This is what we mean by that. Sustainability building rating systems. So there are different sustainability building rating systems. We will see them now. You've all heard of LEED, the most famous one. So when we're talking about sustainability, anything that you mention in sustainability, you have to refer to a certain code or standard system. So we have the LEED. It's like the most common, one of the most common in the world. It's followed like by 41 countries, and I think it's even more. This might be an outdated data. You need to have a rough understanding of these. For example, the BEAM is from Hong Kong, the BREEAM is from UK, the Abu Dhabi has the Istidama and Pearl rating system. In Qatar, we have the GSAS, okay, for sustainability, and so on. In China, again, one famous one is the 3-star system. Okay, the 3-star system. We've talked about standards. What's the difference? And I've mentioned codes like the NFPA. So the NFPA code 70, NFPA 48, NFPA 58. So like diesel and fuel codes. So what's the difference between a code, a standard, and a practice? A standard is a formal expression of rules, guidelines, or characteristics for activities or their results. So I say, let's say this product is conforming to the EN 10, this steel material is conforming to the EN 10025. It means that it has certain specifications. It meets these requirements in terms of, let's say, length, width, chemical composition, whatever it might be. Okay, so this is a standard. Code, prescriptive requirements. Okay, so this is like, it has very more, a standard has a very more solid measurable points. A code is a prescriptive, not descriptive, and is generally given as a statutory force. So, for example, in Qatar, so a standard can be implemented into a code, and a code is more likely to be a code. So, for example, the Qatar Building Code. In the Qatar Building Code, you can decide, for example, that you want to construct the steel structure according to Euronorm 1234. Okay. So the standard, you are selecting it. You are selecting it as a client. But the code, it's not by choice. In Qatar, like the civil defense code is a code. It's a legal requirement. You cannot breach it. You can make a house and not make that house like you see it in the smaller houses and the villas. It doesn't really have to be a high standard. It doesn't have to conform to European standards, American standards, or whatever, but it should comply to the building code. So code is usually given a statutory force. A practice is a general term that refers to the customary, habitual, or expected procedure or way of doing something. So this is when we say a best practice. It means we're talking about the best way that we do something. So if you look at the difference between a code and a standard, a code model that's adaptable by the law clarifies that what needs to be done can be adopted into law. Example include International Building Code, the ASME Boiler Code, and the NFPA code, and the Qatar Civil Defense Code, and so on. The standard is a set of technical definitions and specifications and guidelines. So if I'm talking about that this material confirms the dimensions confirm as per Euro norm so and so, or per ANSI so and so, I say that every 1 centimeter should have a tolerance of so much micrometers. Very detailed. Clarifies how something should be done. It's not necessarily legalized. A code can include a reference to a standard. So for example, the Qatar construction standard can be incorporated into the Qatar building code. So examples include the ASTM standards, ISO standards, and others. Okay. Best practice. The best practice is a technique, approach, or method of conducting business in a matter that has been widely recognized by peers and the industry as generally being the most effective and consistently providing the desired result. So when we're talking about the best practice, we are talking about what does the industry say? What does the collective experience of companies on how to do something says? Protocol is an established code of procedure or behavior in any group, organization, or situation. So like there can be an evacuation protocol. Building evacuation protocol is like a procedure, how to behave in an organization or situation. Protocols describe how something has to be done. There are several types of tools you can use to collect quality data and assess the facility performance. We talked about benchmarking. What is benchmarking? When we go and compare ourselves to what's available in the market. Facebook wanted to follow the footsteps of Google and attract, because they were fighting for the same people basically. They wanted to retain the people. So they went and saw, okay, what's making people go there? Let's look, okay, at the benefits from an HR perspective, but from a facility management perspective. What are they providing so that these people like to go there? So I just go and do benchmarking, compare myself. Gap analysis. What is gap analysis? Gap analysis is where I am versus where I want to be. Currently, I am having a response time to the clients reaching, can the standard be regulation? Usually this is the code, Firas. So we said the difference between a standard and a code. The code is regulated. The code can refer to a standard, but usually the regulation is the code, like the Qatar building code, the civil defense code. You know, you cannot have a building without a code. Just memorize it based on that. A standard, it can be by choice. Maybe you don't want to comply to so and so standard, but a code is usually enforceable. Gap analysis. So gap analysis, let's say I said that our response time is averaging at 75 minutes. And whereas I talk to customers and they are expecting me realistically to be there in 30 minutes. So my situation and measurements will differ if it's 30 that they are expecting, or if it is 60 that they are expecting, or if it's 90 minutes that they are expecting. This is the gap analysis. We need to understand where we are and how long it takes us to reach there and what is it. There are also quality control tools. We will be covering them one by one. A Pareto chart, a flow chart, a check sheet, a cause and effect diagram, a scatter diagram, a control chart, and a histogram. Quality, we will be covering those. Maybe you've heard of them and maybe you haven't. We will be checking them later on. Quality improvement tools, root cause analysis. What is causing this? What's the root cause of this? The 5 whys. Is it covered here? Yeah. So we'll be covering all of those. So there is no need for me to elaborate on it now, but I will anyhow. So the root cause analysis is that, okay, I'm having a leakage. I go and find it, and it's happening because of the pipe. I go and replace it. And I say that the elbow is break. I replace it. Then the next time it goes and happens again. I go and replace it. The next time and so on. So the root cause is that go to the root cause. Understand why is this happening. Is it happening because the material that we utilize for the elbows of that pipe is not? There can be many reasons. Is it happening because that the way we are installing this, we're not installing it properly? Maybe the welder that we have selected is not a certified welder, and he's leaving. We're leaving a weak joint when we're doing that. Is it related to sabotage? Someone is just going and doing sabotage for it. Is it related to an extra pressure, like the system was designed to run an operational pressure of 6 bar, whereas now someone is running the pump at 10, 15 bars. So this is what we do, the root cause analysis, to go to the cause of the problem when we are analyzing quality issues. Another thing is that the 5 whys, and it says that if you ask the 5 whys, so why, it means that it's like root cause analysis, like customers are complaining that we are getting late for them. Why? Because our teams are getting are not, let's say, are not being responsive and waking up in time. Why? Because let's say they are overworked and there is no one taking the shift. Why? And so on, until they say that once you reach 5 whys, you are most likely to have pinpointed the problem. The PDCA cycle, we mentioned it last time in the project module. It's the plan, do, check, act. So this is for project management. It's also for quality. Whatever I do, it's called the Deming cycle. Deming is the person who devised this tool, Deming. So when I do anything, let's say I want to refurbish the full HVAC system. So I plan how to do it. I plan on what day, what to shut down, and then I do it. I go and execute it, and I check while executing it. Okay, is it done on time? Is it done properly? And let's say no, there are some certain things that need to be tweaked. Then I go to the act. I go and act to rectify this, and then I go again to the plan So this is a continuous quality cycle. The plan, do, check, act. I'm running a many. You will see now that there are many Japanese names. Japanese have worked a lot and added a lot to the quality sciences. And you see many of those procedures and things came from the heavy manufacturing in Japan. Of course, others also came, like the Six Sigma came, I think, from General Electric, if I'm not mistaken. We will be covering them. So the Six Sigma is, I'm just mentioning it, is another way, a statistically run way to control and limit errors. So what we call the Six Sigma model. Statistical analysis and trend analysis. So statistical analysis is we go and do statistics and see that statistically, like we are having error in these 2-3 items. If we rectify them, we are fine. Trend analysis, a trend, like we see that once there is hot weather outside, so and so is happening, this will leading to customer satisfaction, dissatisfaction. So this is a trend analysis. Or like we are improving on the quality and we should be running in that direction. So let us go into these items one by one. Gap analysis, I've explained it a lot. So a gap analysis, I'm responding to my clients in 75 minutes. They expect me to be there in 30. Then what's my action plan based on that? I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to buy more vehicles. I need to shift the people to a closer place and so on. A Pareto chart. Pareto, I don't know if you've heard of the Pareto. He's the one who devised the 80-20 rule. This is one of them. So this was applied to sales. The 80-20 rule is that in terms of sales, let's say it's a general management thing. It says that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. So what does that mean? 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your client. The concept behind, no, the wishbone diagram is called the Ishikawa diagram, the one next to it, Krishna Kumar. It's not this one. This is the Ishikawa, the one in green. We will come to that later. The Pareto chart is something different. The Pareto chart says that if you have 80-20, it means that if 80, I explained in terms of sales. So if 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients, the idea is that if I keep those 20% happy, okay, and I focus on them, I will get much more results than if I take the effort and divide it on the 100%. Similarly, in terms of faults, in the sense that, let's say, Pareto chart of late arrivals by reported cause. So I am investigating why there is late arrivals of my staff to the office. Traffic, childcare, public transportation, weather, oversight, and emergency. If you look at it and how it is mapped, you look that the number 1 is 50-something% is traffic. The number 2 is around 40% of childcare. So if I take care of these 2 things, then the rest will be easy. I would have covered most of the requirements. So this is a tool. Like if I address the main 1 or 2 issues, maybe traffic will be difficult to address. I can address it. I can shift my office, let's say, to a place where it's easily accessible by everyone else. So I reduce this. Childcare, I go and next to the office that I hire, I make sure that there is a garderie or a nursery, okay, where the employees can take their kids. So I reduce this. This is called the Pareto chart. The fishbone diagram, or the Ishikawa. Ishikawa is the person who devised this. So he's a Japanese guy. And we look at the effect. So this is where I mentioned the pipe. The elbows on the pipe is on a pipe in the chiller room is continuously breaking and causing a leakage. So this is the effect that this is breaking and causing a leakage. I go and investigate the different reasons. I put them here. So this can be due to poor workmanship during installation. It can be untrained employees, or it can be poor supervision, or whatever. Another reason that can be is that faulty material. Faulty material, I go and investigate this. Then I say it's faulty material, but no, if I look at all my records, all of the elbows that have been provided are conforming. They have been checked. We have all the records. So when I look into the details of the processes, I find out that I have to eliminate this. Then I dig further. I put another reason. I say like it's sabotage. Someone is coming and vandalizing it. Then I go, how can I verify this? I go and I check the security cameras. There is no one who has entered that area, and still there was a problem. And so on. I keep on putting this. Then I find out, okay, it might be the high pressure of the pump. Then I go, okay, and I check the pump. I check, let's say, the building management system, and I find out that historically this has been running at 8 bar. And then I go and review the specifications of the pipeline that was there. I say that, oh, it was having an operational pressure of 4 bar only. So it means that there is something wrong in the pump, and I would have identified and found the solution. So this is what we call the fishbone, because it looks like a fishbone. A fishbone, you know how you used to draw a fish as a kid? You put it like this, and you put the tail, and then the fish is. Okay, we continue. Let me just clear this, please. Another tool that we use in quality, which is called the flowcharts. If you took any computer course, computer programming course, you will know what's a flowchart, but flowcharts are used in other things. Flowchart is a way of going through the process to look at it. You can see at the process itself, or you can make it as a procedure. Lamp, does it work? Is it plugged in? Yes. Is the bulb plugged out? Yes. Then replace the bulb. Then it's from the bulb. The lamp plug in? Yeah. No. Plug in the lamp. Problem solved. So these tools can be utilized in several ways. So this is a way to investigate problems. Some equipment come with these kind of flowcharts. Some equipment, they will say that, okay, troubleshooting, it will have a troubleshooting manual, and it will have a system similar to this. A scatter plot for quality characteristics. So this is like a trend analysis. I am measuring two things. I'm measuring, let's say, the relationship between quality characteristics XXX and the process input. And I try them and I draft them. When I draft them, then I find out that there is a trend line. So by analyzing this trend line, let's say I want to keep my process in this upper part, then if I work on the other item, I can improve it. So this is one tool to handle this. Another tool is statistical analysis, that like an upper control limit and a lower control limit. This we will be covering as we move ahead in detail. This recognizes that there is no perfection. Any process that you do, that's why there is something that we call tolerance. Tolerance, even with the most sophisticated equipment that you manufacture, you're always going to have tolerance. Let's say in fabrication, there is plus or minus. Just to give an example, we say that it's never going to be perfect. And let's say I'm fabricating something and I'm allowing a tolerance of plus or minus 1 millimeters. So I have plus 1 millimeter and a minus 1 millimeter from the intended measure. So if something was supposed to be 5 meters, okay, 5,000 mm, and then you get the measurement 5,002 when you inspect it, it means that it's coming here. It's outside the control limit, and it will not be acceptable for us. Whereas if I measure it and I find out that it's 5,001, then I will accept it. So this is the average output and how it runs within the upper control limit and the lower control limit. The root cause analysis, or the 5 whys, which I mentioned earlier, this is an example of it. Our client is refusing to pay for leaflets we printed for him. So this is a printing press, and the problem is that the client is refusing to pay for leaflets. Why? The delivery was late, so the leaflets couldn't be used. He wanted to have an event on Sunday, and we delivered them on Monday. Why? The job took longer than expected. Why? We ran out of printer ink. Why? The ink was all used on a large last-minute order. Why? We didn't have enough ink in stock and couldn't order new supplies on time. So when I have determined the root cause behind all of this, what's my countermeasure in terms of a quality response? Find an ink supplier who can deliver at a short notice so that we can continue to minimize inventory. So no need for me to purchase the ink. So another solution would have been to order the ink and keep it in store. You can apply the same principle on your spare parts. So like you can find the solution would be to find a supplier who can deliver at a very short notice, maybe who's open 24 hours, who is just with a phone call can go and open the stores for you, reduce waste and respond to customer demand. The Deming cycle, I mentioned it, and we're gonna look into it again. So it's the plan, do, check, act, and we're talking about continuous improvement. Finally, we have the DMAIC. It's the design, measure. Just give me a second. DMAIC. Yeah, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So we define what we need to measure. We measure it, and once we measure it, we analyze it. Why is it going out of line? We improve it, and then we control the process again. And it's again one of those continuous cycle. This is the DMAC cycle, which is the basis of the 6 Sigma. Service specifications. Just let me check we are on which slide, please. Shoot, sorry. Let us take a 10-minute break and be back by 8:20. Okay?
Yeah, okay, sir.
All right. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, yes, sir. Be back.
All right, so we're talking about the specifications. Service specifications describe the FM service you provide to the customer, whether those services are provided by internal staff or external suppliers. The primary consideration when developing a service specification, when we are putting these per service specifications, they include prescriptive, is that dictate exactly how the task will be performed and the frequency. Just a minute. Performance-based typically set quality-related targets that allow some flexibility in determining the appropriate response, focused more on outputs compared to prescriptive specifications, or output-based, that when service is required, not how it should be provided. Focus on what the deliverables are in business terms rather than how they should be delivered. So what does that mean? It means that prescriptive, if I'm giving prescriptive service specifications for cleaning the toilets, I say that we need every hour 3 cleaners to come to the toilet to do 1, 2, 3, 4, to mop the floor, flush the toilets, clean the mirrors, remove the trash. So they are dictating how the task, so we are prescribing how it's done. Performance-based is that we set quality-related targets. So the example which I said, that to respond and fix a problem within 30 minutes, is that I'm allowing you with the flexibility for the most appropriate response, and I'm focused more on the output. How you do it? You put 20 people, you put 30 people, you put only one, you put someone on the site all the time. It's not up to me. I'm giving the freedom for you and your operation, but I'm telling you, this is what I want. And this is the output. This is the performance. What's our performance? The output is that I'm looking at the final output. What are the deliverables in business terms rather than how they should be delivered. The service level agreements, so a way to put the service level agreements, the service level agreement is the contract for services. This is what we call a service level agreement. So the SLA element should have a scope of works. So what is a scope of work of a service level agreement? The service level agreement is for the maintenance of the elevators and escalators, terms of the service to be provided, change provisions, delays, warranties. What's the scope of works? Is it a comprehensive scope of work? Are the spare parts included? Is there a warranty on the job that we conduct? If I'm going to overhaul your engine, this is the service level agreement where I'll come and overhaul all your engines and pumps, and I'm gonna give you, my scope is that I will not provide any warranty, or I provide only a 2-month warranty. Performance tracking and reporting, so it can also include how many people are there, how will the service be monitored, the service level reporting, the service review meetings. If you have looked at facility management contract, a bigger one, let's say, it will have many data. It will have the specification, the scope of work, the number of people that you're supposed to deploy on the site, the requirement for weekly, monthly meetings, the reports. It can even include the KPIs, the key performance indicators. And the key performance indicators will normally, sometimes, or usually depending on the client, will have penalties. So you sign an agreement with me, a service level agreement for the maintenance elevators or even the gas system, let's say. And in the SLA, you said that you will reply to any requirement within 1 hour. And then this if they usually even have some of them an escalating chart. If you reply within 1 hour and a half, the penalty is going to be this much. If it's more, it's going to be this much, and so on. FM KPIs should be understandable, should provide clear direction and guidance on what is important, should encourage the right behavior, should lead to fast action if trend lines change. So again, we go about into measure what matters. So the key performance indicators should be on what really matters, not data here and there. And I set a KPI for when the people arrive on the site, and another KPI, for example, on we need to be specific on the overall thing that really yields the result, and we will be observing it, easy to measure, so that if there's a change in it, we are able to do fast action. So let's say I have a KPI in the response time to the client, and I'm monitoring it. And I'm monitoring it on a monthly basis. And I see, like, in January, we were averaging 35 minutes. February, we are averaging 40. March, I'm averaging 50. So I can see a trend of deteriorating performance. I need to stop and go back and see what we were doing right and that we led to this, and what's going bad and how can we rectify it. Customer satisfaction measurement is an integral part of getting close to customers. We said quality is determined. There's a saying is that give me a customer and I'll give you a business. What does that mean? It means that businesses come from customers, and then irrespective of the product. If you have a customer who needs something, and if you provide him that service, okay, you have a business. So quality comes from the customer. The need comes from the customer. Understanding what satisfies a customer is why companies succeed or fail. Uber succeeded because even though customers, sometimes, the companies are smart and they're able to, who said that we needed an Uber? We were like previously, if you wanted to go somewhere and you don't have a car, you call a taxi. We didn't know that we need, so they came with this concept, which is making it cheaper, easier, faster, more reliable to transport from point A to point B. They understood their customers, and even in the way they were developing their service, they provided add-ons based on their customer needs. So there are very different ways to collect and analyze customer data. One of them is interviews. So if I want to, I have a client, I have a building complex of 1,000 housing units, and I'm doing the facility maintenance for them. Okay, I can, to determine what is really bothering them and about our service, and seeing if we can improve it and improve the satisfaction for it, because I'm a big facility maintenance company and now I have this 1,000 units, and I want to be the #1 company of choice in the country. There are tens of thousands of other units. So I'm trying to use this as a benchmark to see where can I improve and better my service. So I can do it by doing interviews, one-on-one interviews. I select a sample. I have 1,000 residents. I select 50. I go and interview them and ask them questions. Focus groups. Focus groups are when we go and I take, let's say, 20 clients. I invite them for dinner, and then we discuss in a group what can we do to improve the service and so on. So this is a focus group. Surveys, you all know what are surveys. So surveys is that when we go and ask them on certain data. So we always get these kind of surveys. Are you satisfied with our service? What can we do to improve it? On a scale 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend? Do you find that we are on a scale on 1 to 10? Are we a good value? Where do you see us? And so on. So when we understand this, and a survey design is a science on its own, statistical analysis is a science on its own, how it should be done to be accurate. But again, this is a way to collect customer needs. Service response cards. Service response cards are short forms of surveys, and they are done shortly, and they are done to encourage people to give feedback. An example of a service response card is the one which you get in, let's say, Applebee's or Chili's or any restaurant, multinational chain, where they keep a service response card in the pepper and ketchup one, or when they bring the bill, they bring you a service response card. They even encourage you to fill that. They tell you, if you fill this quick survey, we will give you a free dessert next time you come here. So service response cards encourage you. You see, if you look at the questions, just notice it next time you look at it, there'll be 4 or 5 questions very fast. And in the end, there'll be a bigger section asking you to provide any feedback. So it's designed in a way to encourage you to provide feedback. Walkthroughs and observations. Another way is to observe. So to observe, we go and see that what is making people delay entering the mall. We see that they are finding, we go and observe, and we see that they are entering from this gate rather than this gate because they are getting lost, or whatever it might be. So it's like observations. These things, the interviews, focus groups, surveys, are same tools have been mentioned previously when we said that we want to collect requirements. Collect requirements means programming, as we mentioned earlier. Another tool to collect, analyze customer data is complaint management. Complaints are a very, very, very important tool to measure, and they are a very important way, and many people disregard them or don't understand their value. They say that a complaint is your entry point where you can make a customer, lose the customer for good, or turn him into a loyal customer. Think about yourself. When was the last time you made a complaint and then that person went and apologized, solved the problem, and maybe came back with a solution that impressed you, and then you became more loyal to the brand? Just to give you an example, once I booked into Intercontinental in Lebanon, and supposedly I asked them to give me a room with a view, and they were supposed to give me that. And then I went and entered it. It was the worst room in the whole hotel. It was overlooking the parking. I complained, and then the next day, the general manager of the hotel came and apologized to us personally. He gave us a discount, another day there, and he gave me his personal card, and he told me, next time you want to book, call me. So he changed me from a person who was complaining about this to a person who is mentioning it to you now. So I'm even advertising the brand. So this is how much important complaint management is. We need to record complaints, and it's a good tool for us to know where we are. And people sometimes bury the complaints, but good companies, they go and address complaints. They encourage you to make complaints, and they give you with a special number for complaint management. Why they do all of that? Because they know, okay, if the complaint goes silent and goes buried on the ground, then eventually their business is gonna suffer. On the other hand, if they are aware of the complaints, aware of their shortcomings, they improve their process, and then their business will be better. Qualitative and quantitative measures. Qualitative data. Quantitative is the easy data. So it's the data that can be measured and expressed numerically, number-based. Statistical analysis is easier, collected using surveys, observations, equipment, and this. The data that's difficult to handle is the qualitative data. So qualitative data is when data that consists of descriptive statements. How did you feel about your stay today? Well, I found it wonderful. It's not like or I found it annoying and so on and so things. So it's text-based, statistical analysis in harder, collected using interviews. So in interviews, they are more in-depth rather than surveys. You go and you ask open-ended questions. You let them come and spill out what they want. What's your recommendation for us to improve? So this is more of a qualitative data rather than a quantitative data. Reliability and validity. Reliability and validity. So reliability is the ability of an instrument to measure consistently when used under the same conditions with the same subjects. So every time I measure it, it's going to give me data in that range. So every time I measure it, the accuracy is +5, it's around 5, 4, 3 millimeters, whatever. So it's always within that accuracy range. Validity is the ability of an instrument to measure what is intended to measure, in the sense is that the validity is not valid. So validity is the goal, what we intend to measure. So this is validity and this is reliability. If you look at target A, we have poor validity. The validity is wrong, but good reliability. It's giving us consistent information, but it's not reliable. So if I calibrate that process and I shift it here and I reach good validity, good reliability, target B, I'm having poor validity and poor reliability. Yeah, Ahmed.
As I recall, we studied something like that in college, but it was accuracy and precision. Is it the same?
Same, yes.
Accuracy and the precision. Okay, thank you.
So target A is having a high precision, but very bad accuracy. Target B doesn't have neither accuracy nor precision. Target C has both accuracy and precision. Complaint management. I have already mentioned all of those, but I'm going to go through them again. So complaint management is that bad news spread fast. Your biggest marketing tool in the world till date remains to be word of mouth. You are more likely to purchase or go to somewhere or do something if you get it through someone else who you trust. If someone tells you go and visit this hotel because it's very comfortable, you are much more likely to go and do it. Now with the age of social media and things like that, we're able to access it. So for example, when I purchase online, I always look at the reviews, and I'm sure that you also do. And to me, it's a very important criteria because it's mainly fairly accurate. It doesn't always hit the target, but at least you have an idea what this. On the other hand, so that if it's good news, it will spread. If it's bad news, it will spread fast. And the thing is that when you are satisfied of a service, how many times you were satisfied of a restaurant, and then you went and thanked the chef and thanked the people there. Whereas how many times were you dissatisfied and you went and complained? You are much more likely to be vocal about a complaint than you would be regarding something that good that was done. So we talked about interviews, how we collect the data. Interviews can be used to eliminate internal bias or identify reasonably objective service attributes important to customers. Focus group is a structure but informal technique to assess customer needs and feelings. So interviews is a one-on-one interview. I go and ask them, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? How can we improve? And so on. A focus group, I do the same, but I do it for a group of people. Surveys involve asking a series of prepared questions to collect data about opinions, behavior, or knowledge. Sampling is the process of selecting a number of customers to survey in such a way that they represent the larger group. So this is like the survey design and analysis, and the customer basis is that, is this a representation over the all? So this is what they do. Let's say when they do statistics regarding elections, or which is the best TV show in Qatar, or so on, they don't go and interview each and every person who's watching it. They go and interview a sample size. So there's a sample size of, let's say, 1,000, 5,000 people. And they consider that this sample size is diverse. It's coming from people who are old, young, different nationalities, males, females, and it represents the Qatari population in general. So this is how a sampling and a proper sampling is done. Survey design. As I said, is a science, and really it's a science, and there are several rules to handle it. So usually this is just an example of what is there. So define the survey purpose, define the target population. So who am I targeting? I'm targeting, for example, the visitors of the hotel who are above 50. This is my general business target of the whole organization, is to target retirees and people who are vacationing or retirees. So I identify that I'm going to go and focus on those people because they're going to be my target for the next 5 years. I'm going to see what kind of services they're interested in. Surely it will be different than the younger generation population. Use adequate sample size. So the sample size should be indicative. So I cannot go and survey 10 people and say that this represents the whole population of a hotel which has 20,000 visitors in a year. Or let's say an airport. How many people am I surveying? If I survey 50 people or 20 people, is it good enough? Be brief. If a survey is too long, people will drop it. I many times drop surveys. I say, okay, I'm going to do a survey, and then question after page, and I say, let them go to hell. Considerately compose the survey. Incentivize responses. It happens a lot. Fill the survey, get a discount. Fill the survey, you enter to have this code, and so on. Choose the right survey format. Is it a paper questionnaire, an online poll, an email survey? Sometimes, like last time, when you go and drop the vehicle for maintenance, after you finish at Mercedes, they will call you and tell you, so how was your experience yesterday? Did you like it? What's there? So this is a kind of survey, but the mode is that by the phone. Test your survey. Usually you are supposed to test before the launch the survey. Choose the right time when to approach the people, depending on their mood and so on. Soon after the customer experience, for example, is a golden rule. So that's why when you finish your meal, they come and bring that. They don't bring that before you start your meal. Respond to respondents. Again, that's why sometimes you find them people sending you thank you for filling your survey. They say that we listened to you. We have changed so and so based on your requirements. We opened a 24-hour service center and so on. So we listened. So it's important in the way you communicate with clients. So let's say you're managing these 1,000 housing units, and then you surveyed the people and you find out that they were all complaining that the trash was taking time because it's picked only one time daily, and that sometimes it's going to smell. So say, we listen to you, and we're going to be picking the trash at 2 shifts this time, or we're going to be extending our service of catering, or whatever it is. Rating scales. The most famous rating scale is the Likert scale. So Likert is the name of the person who devised this. You have all filled this. We always fill this. I am satisfied with it. Strongly agree to strongly disagree. You fill the Likert scale. Another way is called the rank ordering. So the rank ordering is like what features are important to you when evaluating fitness trackers? What's the most important to you when you move to a new building? Rank them from 1 to 5. Is it the parking space? Is it the availability of the pool, of a pool in a compound? Is it the availability of 24-hour maintenance, the availability of security? So this is the rank ordering. Another way is called forced allocation. So forced allocation, I give you 100 points. How would you allocate them across the following outdoor recreation areas? I give you 100 points. Allocate them into the importance, relative importance for you when you move into a new villa. It can be, as I said, security, whatever. Then you rank them. Different people will rank them differently. So this is a way to solicit feedback. Survey response cards. This is what I mentioned earlier. You see, this is survey response card. Customer info, very basic. Will you use us again? Yes. How was the quality of the service? Poor, fair, good. Feedback. So a service response card is an abbreviated form of a survey. Walkthroughs and observation. FM walkthroughs, part of our profession as facility managers is a walkthrough. There should be daily walkthroughs. Daily walkthroughs is that you go around and you see what's missing. You see what needs to be done. You observe clients. Are they complaining? You're a facility manager in the airport, and you go and look around. You check, is the cleaning done properly? Some people are queuing up near some area. What's the problem? So this is called the management by walking around, MBWA. Customer feedback is the foundation for improving performance. Communicating results, we mentioned that. Communicating results demonstrate that you are listening to your customers and tells them that you changes and improvements you intend to make. We listen to you. I've seen it even like big advertisement campaigns that we listen to you. We are devising this. It's important to know, let them know that they have a decision in your service, so that they register in their head that you're an organization that cares about customers. Different organizations use different improvement tools and models to implement FM action plans. Basic ones are the root cause analysis. We talked about that. We talked about the 5 whys, the plan, do, check, act cycle, and the 6 Sigma DMAIC, the MIC model. Continuous improvement. Continuous improvement analyzes capabilities and processes and improves them repeatedly to achieve the object of customer satisfaction. We talked about this, that quality is not a goal that you attain. And so the PDA cycle is on continuous improvement. One of the other cycle is what is again a Japanese name other than Mr. Ishikawa, is Mr. Kaizen. Kaizen was devised by Toyota and their manufacturing plant. Toyota said that, okay, for us to improve in quality, it's not necessary that we wait till the end of the year, oversee our quality, see what can be done, and go and make a multi-thousand, multi-million-dollar project to go and improve quality. They said Kaizen is a concept, whereas if I improve a small part of a small process, and I do this consistently, I create a culture that incremental small changes, okay? In the bigger picture, everything is gonna improve. So now I did something that shaved the like, okay, there's a big problem which I'm saying and having in the responsiveness to the clients, and I'm delayed now 50 minutes. Then I implement some small thing, like I do a shift in the schedule, I pay some people extra, and I'm able to shave 5 minutes. So Kaizen said that this is a good improvement. So it's a staircase of improvement. Rather than taking big steps, We do small steps, and eventually we will reach there. So Kaizen is get employees involved, gather a list of problems, encourage solutions, test the solution, regularly measure and analyze the result. If successful, adopt the solution, repeat on ongoing basis. Kaizen requires identifying areas for improvement, creating solutions and plans for a rollout, and then cycling through the process again for other issues. So again, you're looking for problems. What can I say? This was done on the production line. On the production line of vehicles, okay, we are having a rejection rate of the windshields, let's say 1 per 1,000. If I improve it and make it 1 per 2,000 or 1,500, it's good enough as a start. And then I continuously improve and lift this. And that's how, with these principles of quality, Japanese manufacturing in the 70s was not reliable. It was like China in the 90s. It was not something like looked gratefully on, but look where they were in the 70s and before that, and where they are now. They are an example of good, reliable quality. Controlling variation. This is the graph which we mentioned earlier, with the upper limit and the lower control limit. So controlling variation, common cause. So this is like, we understand that there's a variation always in the process. There are even the best manufacturing plants in the world, they're going to have it, but it's going to be limited and smaller, but there is variation. No process is perfect. Common cause variation is a type variation inherent with every process and repeatedly and randomly within predictable limits. So a common cause variation is acceptable, like this is acceptable. A special cause variation, when it goes above these control limits, there is a problem. What is that problem? We go into it. Results from a special circumstances. It's not an inherent part of the process. Assessing service performance. Why we always say that it's the customer who determines quality, is to always remind management. What happens is that customers' imagination of quality is usually here. Customers' management perception, the management perception. Whereas the customer expectation is somewhere else. The smaller this gap is and the more these two circles are interrelated, the more the successful the business here. If you look at this area here, it's all an area which is not attended to, not focused on by the management. You find it sometimes in softwares and then things like that, where the company goes and starts giving features, starts giving things which are really not important to the customer base. And so the management is thinking differently. So this concept on quality is very important to tell you to go in line, and this will let you avoid failing of your products and services. Time-worn core principles about assessing and managing service performance that are applicable in facility management include: define superior service based on customer expectation of quality, set standards and metrics, select, train, and empower service providers, measure performance, record and reward accomplishment. So we define, we set the standards, we act, select, train, and then we measure performance. So it's again the DMAIC, this continuous improvement process. Define, measure, analyze, or the PDCA, the plan, do, check, act. So we plan, we define, and we plan, and then we set the standards, and then we do, and then we measure the performance, we check, and we act. We reward or we correct. Performance monitoring and measuring. In total facility management, Brian Atkin and Adrian Brooks discussed. Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Bahar.
Yes, Ahmed.
The last previous slide, please. So the last point: recognize and reward accomplishment. So, is it a mandatory part of assessing service performance to have a reward for the accomplishments?
There is no mandatory thing to reward your employees. This is like just best practices.
Because as a PMI perspective, they put the performance and reward system as a mandatory, or as a, you can say, one of the major things. So here also is the same, that we have to make reward system. So if they did excellent, we will give something even small, just optional.
This is a best practice. Best practice recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We move on. Performance measurement and monitoring in total facility management. There are tangible factors and intangible factors. There are tangible factors for measurement, those factors that can be objectively measured, such as the service response time. So in performance measurement, discuss the tangible and intangible aspects of. So there are certain things. Tangible, it means something that's measurable, something that you can touch, not literally, something that you can quantify. So such as service response time. So these are the quantitative data. Intangible, qualitative data. How can you measure that if someone is friendly? Maybe someone who is friendly to you is not friendly to me. They will be doing the same thing, but our perception is totally different. So intangible factors that are more subjective in nature, such as courtesy of a service provider. Atkin and Brooks describe an assessment process that involves monitoring and adherence to standards and targets according to conformance to regulation, service delivery quality and performance targets, cost, time, and interaction with customers. Improvement of the facility management work process, assessing the workplace productivity. A work environment can impact productivity, and this is like why the big companies such as Google go to facility management, because doing above and beyond, because they believe, and this is it, a work environment can impact productivity. For sure it impacts. It either enables it, it's comfortable enough, it is expressive enough, it is effective enough to enable this. That's why they have the silent rooms, they have a different meeting rooms, they have a sitting lounge. Why? The whole goal of the design of these facilities and the upkeep and maintenance of this is to enable productivity. Is that from the 8 hours that you're working in the office, how much can I get out of you as an employee? Or it can go by thwarting it. So if people have to be sitting in an office, worry all the time about the change in the temperature control, worry about the noise that's coming from the nearby street, and so on, it is really counterproductive. So to measure workplace productivity, you have to understand how to define productivity, complete a pre- and post-occupancy review, look at both the tangible and intangible aspects, consider what else is happening on your business, and use different metrics and measurements. Another tool to utilize, which is also utilizes flowcharts, is the process mapping. This is again a very important tool in quality management. If you look into any ISO 9001 quality manual, an integral part of it is to map the processes. Mapping the processes, what does the processes mean? For everything that we do, there's a process. So we start first of all by mapping it. So for the procurement, there's a procurement process. Different companies have it differently. So the procurement process, there is someone comes with a material requisition, an MR, and it goes to their engineer, for example, depending on the organization. and the head of facilities, they approve it. It goes to procurement, they approve it. It goes to finance, they approve it. If it's below, let's say, is it above 50,000, then it can go directly, and lower than 50,000 can go and get approved directly. Above 50,000, a different process for it. It has to be approved by the general manager, for example, and so on. So this is how we do things. So process maps provide a graphic representation of a process, show the sequence of inputs, tasks, and activities. Process mapping is the flow charting of a work process in details, including key measurement. So we will have usually an as-is process map. So this is the way we are doing things. Okay, we are finding a lot of redundancies in this process map. We are finding that because of this current procurement practice, yes, a process map is a flow chart. It's a process map. You draw it through a flow chart, but this is flow chart can be used for something else. The idea is to use a flow chart to do the process mapping. We should have a should be to be process map, and the ideal process map, and a cross-functional process map. Process mapping is most productive when conducted by a team of people in or closely associated with the process being analyzed. So usually when you want to do a proper process planning, you go and ask the team, how are you doing this task? How are you doing the cleaning? Or they say, sir, we go and we wait for the client to tell us, then we go this, we get approval for material and so on. So they will be, when you go to the people who are directly involved, you're going to get more accurate results rather than people who think how it's done. Compliance with codes, regulations, policies, and standards. We do internal audits and inspections. There are many types of audits in facility management. You can have a safety audit, you can have a quality audit, you can have an environmental audit and sustainability audit, you can have a business continuity audit. So IFM process, audit process and practices. So this is auditing is part of quality assurance, QA. Doing the inspection is part of quality control. FM processes and audits, prepare and plan, perform the audit, report findings, and issue resolution. So audits are less frequent than inspections. So you will have like an ISO 1-year audit plan. You can do internal auditing. An audit is less frequent, more formalized, larger scale and scope. So you come and do an audit for overall facilities. Often system or program based, so there's a program dictating it. Structured but allows for further investigation and why analysis. Inspection is something repeating. You can have a million inspection, like every time you deliver material for a facility, you will do an inspection. Audit is ensuring that the procedures that you've set are being followed. So it requires a large number of inspectors or inspections per year. Focus specific, so let's say the material delivery inspection, the installation of a chiller inspection, often equipment or area based, more rigid, often checklist based. An audit should not be conducted for the sole purpose of finding irregularities and faults. An audit is done to see where we are and how can we improve on our facilities processes. An audit should not be used as an inspection. An auditor needs to practice effective communication. The purpose and scope of an audit must be clearly defined. And in these phases, when we start the audit, prepare and plan, the first thing is that we do is to get the management involvement and approval on it so that we secure that everyone complies with it. So that was it for today. It was a relatively faster session. Which of the following is a technique best suited for determining the root cause of a problem?
Alpha.
Yes. Yes.
5 ways. 5 ways. Alpha.
5 ways.
This is an easy answer. If the PDCA cycle is used in conjunction with the benchmarking initiative, top management commitment will be secured during which phase?
Plan. Alpha.
Again, correct. If we want to get management involved, not after we get the results and we are executing, we go and tell them get involved. They can be involved in the beginning. Which of the following statements best describe statistical process control?
Charlie identifies specific areas for improvement and measure variation in outputs.
True. In an output-based service specification, a facility manager should
Bravo. Remove as many constraints as possible.
Edwin, your background is quality. This is correct. Or you are cheating from the material. I don't know. So let's give room for others to answer. Maybe someone has something. It's that they are pretty straightforward answers.
Apology for overexcited, sir.
No problem.
Coming from QSAS.
I appreciate it, but this is like for you, like a swim in the park.
Early bird catch the fish.
A disciplinary
Thank you,
method.
sir. Thank you.
Anytime. A disciplinary methodology with the objective of meeting or exceeding customer desires best describes
Continuous improvement.
right.
Continuously improvement, yeah.
Systems thinking in Quality FM is characterized by
Satisfying the need of the entire organization and not only B.
huh?
B.
B.
B, bravo.
B for dog. Hot
L.
dog.
Okay. Yes. True. So we said that we are not an island, we are part of a bigger organization. During which steps of an audit would a representative sample of records be checked for accuracy, completeness, and timeliness?
During which
Form the audit.
Huh?
Bravo.
Bravo. Yes, during the execution of the audit.
Bravo.
Which type of question format allows you to best determine the percentage of positive and negative satisfaction responses?
C for cat.
Charlie.
No.
Likert rating.
This is like a percentage of positive and negative. This is a clear yes or no. It's not like the scale. What's
Alpha.
yeah, this is a yes, no response, no. Of a given service attitude, I would have answered it A. I don't know. I will have to verify this. An effective service response card does what?
invites communication.
Communication.
Yes, it's the small one and it's inviting you for communication. That was it for tonight. If you don't have any other questions, I will be logging off.
Next week, sir, what will be the topic?
We still have two more topics only. We have technology and real estate. So next time it will be the real estate. So the real estate marketing. Tell me.
The second last question. I've not gotten your answer. The second last question.
Let me verify the second last question. Just give me 1
Is
second.
it a yes or no?
See, the question was, which type of question format allows you to best determine the percentage of positive and negative satisfaction responses? This is the percentage. So yeah. So it's like of a given service attribute. So what does a service attribute mean? Service attribute mean is that you are satisfied, let's say, with the cleanliness of our toilets. And for me to get a percentage, I thought that it can be first of all, the fourth choice is not, I would eliminate it immediately because it doesn't show percentage. The open-ended doesn't show percentage.
Yeah.
To me, it's between either the yes and no response, and that's why I selected it. So you like, but here it says best. So I would have put the question, for example, are you satisfied with our service for our cleanliness of the toilet? A yes, no question would not give me a percentage. It will give me a percentage of how much said yes, how much said no, but not how much on a scale, let's say from 1 to 10 you are satisfied. This is more accurate. So the Likert scale provides a more accurate way of measurement. Like some people will measure 7, some people will measure 5. If you look at it, for example, regarding this particular example, I don't know if in the Qatar, in Oman airport, the moment you go out of the toilet, there is a, yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was saying is that the moment you go out of the toilet, there's a measurement. Are you satisfied? And 3 faces or 4 faces, happy, not happy. Okay. Anyone has another question? If not, then I see you on Saturday.
Okay, keep safe all. Good night.
Firas, you have
Thank
a
you
question?
all. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Sorry, by mistake.
Thank you, Mr. Baha.
No worries. Okay. See you on Saturday, guys.
See
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Good
Thank you,
night,
Mr.
sir.
Baha.
Thank you.
Good night, sir. See you on Saturday.
Thank you.